4 years ago, when Earl Butz was the Secretary of Agriculture under Richard Nixon, he was one of the first people who said, get big or get out. And that was the beginning of the end for the kind of agriculture that many of us grew up with or believed in. That farms should be local, that we should all know our farmers, that anybody who wants to grow up and take over the family farm or buy the family farm down the road ought to have that opportunity. Well, we want to start going back in that direction. I feel very fortunate to have spent pretty much all of my adult life here in the state of Maine and have a lot of roots in farming. Not only am I originally from Minnesota, it's a little known but embarrassing fact, that I am very proud of. I am the daughter of Scandinavian immigrants who came to Minnesota and to Iowa to be dairy farmers, so it's in my blood. Yeah, sure, you betcha, as we say. But I'm also a longtime farmer here in Maine. I came to Maine like a lot of people, with a copy of Helen and Scott Nearing's Living the Good Life, that book in my hands, wanting to be a homesteader and a back-to-the-lander. Got to know Elliott Coleman as a student at College of the Atlantic, so I trained and learned on one of the best farmers in our state, and spent many years with my own small farm, starting a knitting business that sold products all over the country, and I'm lucky enough to be back in the farming business again. I own the Nebo Lodge, an inn and restaurant on North Haven, and the Turner Farm, a 200-year-old farm, which we've been bringing back to life again into the production levels that were once there in the 18 and 1900s, and are very proud to be able to do that. So we knew firsthand both what it is to be a farmer and also what it is to see the consumer demand today. The real growth in this food industry is today. You know, retail sales of groceries have been mostly flat except for sustainably grown, organically grown, local produce. You see it in the markets where you shop. There are 7,000 farmers markets around our country. That's a 150% increase in the last decade. Walmart is now the largest retailer of food in our country, and the fact is they want to now become the largest retailer of organic food in our country. That tells you something not about their preferences or policies, but about what they've seen in the market. And our goal is to make sure that when stores like that decide to become big sellers of organic foods, they buy it locally. They don't set up 10,000 organic farms in China and have them shipped over. Who doesn't know that there are many more jobs created when we have farms that are local? And not only does it create jobs in our communities, but it means that those families stay in our communities, that the land keeps open. In many rural towns in Maine, a concentration of sufficient farms means that there will be a tractor dealer or a small restaurant or a retail store that people can shop at. It's a huge difference when you can keep and grow the number of farms in our state. So it is a job set. Honestly, this is a bill full of things that are simple, common sense solutions, that are simple kinds of support that rural farmers, that New England farmers, that farmers across the country can use. It makes it easier for farmers to obtain credit, whether it's a young person wanting to buy a farm that an older farmer is ready to turn over, whether it's a farmer themselves who wants to expand and enhance their facilities. Could be a small farm stand or a large farm stand. It could be hoop houses to increase the amount of production that they can have going into the colder months. It could be a small creamery if they're raising goats and they want to turn it into cheese or have their own dairy. It also has funding or assistance for more infrastructure. As our number of farms grow, we need better distribution networks. We don't have enough slaughterhouses. I can tell you as a small farmer myself, my pigs went to the slaughterhouse just this morning, many of them. Freezer camp, as we call it. But the fact is, we had to sign them up a long time in advance because there isn't sufficient capacity in Maine, and that's vital for small farmers who want to continue to grow the amount of product that they have and make sure that it's appropriately processable and eligible for sale. There are things in here to help consumers achieve greater access. For instance, making it possible for people to use their food stamp, their SNAP benefit cards at farmers markets, and make it easier for the farmers to sell to people of all income levels. That means if you're struggling in this economy, but you want to still put healthy food on the table, there are ways for you to be able to do that. And as I said earlier, there are ways to help our schools serve more healthy food. Today you can get commodity funding for your school to buy all that food that comes in big cans from the Midwest. Well, we say you can divert some of that and not just spend it on things that you open from a can, heat up, and feed to our kids. For all of your help. Appreciate your being here.